Hey, it's Aaliyah with Daley Conversations, and we have a new guest today. We love to get to know our new guest, and so I'm going to let Audrey introduce herself by telling us who she is and what she does.
Hey, everyone. I am Audrey Davis Dunning, aka your favorite African dance teacher. I teach and perform traditional West African dance, and I absolutely love it. I particularly love teaching what I like to call good and grown women how to use African dance to enhance their life and their physical fitness. But I also love teaching the little ones too. Actually, I just love teaching everybody. So I'm in schools, I'm at libraries, I'm at senior centers, I'm at community events, anywhere where people are gathered. I am open to sharing my passion for African dance.
Oh my God, I love that. And I can really tell that you're passionate about it, just your energy and everything. So I would love for you to talk about your dance journey. How did you get into dance and then move specifically into West African dance?
Yes, it's so funny. I was dancing since I was 13, which in the dance world is kind of late to start dancing, but I started when I was 13 and I just loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And I danced in high school with the troupe at the high school. I went to college and we had a troupe called the Black Gold Dancers. because yeah,
Ooh.
because back in the days, I'm really aging myself now. Back in the days, there was a show called Solid Gold, so we named ourselves Black Gold. So I ran that troupe during college. So I was always dancing. But let me tell you how I got into African dance. I call it the summer of heartbreak.
Uh-oh.
I Yes, it was the summer of heartbreak. I had ended a really serious relationship that I thought was going to be it, the one, all of that, all of those things. And then we broke up, and I was on the floor, on the floor, on the floor, on the floor. And a good friend of mine was like, all right, enough, enough, enough. Took me by the hand and said, let's go to this dance class. Let's go to an African dance class. So I went, and the minute I walked in, I was like, the colors of all of the lapas and then the drum music. And then I saw her, my beloved African dance teacher, Yewande Kelly Johnson. May she rest in peace. She's no longer with us. But I saw her and the way she just greeted me, and then she was just tall and regal and just moved. And I was just like, this is it. This is it. In the first dance class, I was, even though I had a dance background, African dance, different movements and different protocols. So I was fumbling and stumbling and stumbling and fumbling. But even with all that, I was like, I'm here to stay. Unless they kick me out, I'm here to stay. It just grabbed me. But that my entry was to heal my heart, and it healed it immediately. I was gooder than good after that.
That is so deep. Wow. Can you talk more about the healing aspect of dance since you kind of touched on it? How has dance, because I know you spoke about heartbreak, but where else have you seen dance be a healing aspect to you?
Girl, oh, so many ways. First of all, let's just talk about body image, right? Because African dance is one of those genres where you could go to an African dance show and you will see dancers of every size, every shape, every age up on that stage, killing it, killing it, killing it. And you were like, whoa. And so seeing that example of these women just owning every inch of their body and doing it, and it just made me totally change the perspective on my body. Like I started to appreciate my body for what it could do as
Mm.
opposed to what it looked like. That was revolutionary. Okay, yeah, let me repeat that, right? I started
Yes.
to appreciate my body for what it could do, the leaps, the jumps, the contractions, the all of that. For I appreciated
Yeah.
it for what it could do as opposed to what it looked like. And then I had a new appreciation for the way it looked too, and the lapa and everything. So it just made me love my body even more. And so that is so freeing because that whole body image thing could be like a self-imposed prison for women. So that
Hmm.
was priceless. That was priceless. So I would say that after the healing of the broken heart. And then I like to say, and I've been saying this every chance I get, especially recently, African dance is a tool of empowerment. Depending on what dance I'm doing, it can enhance my feeling of power and strength and courage. It can make me feel, ooh, ah, ooh, who's the flyest, who's the best. It could give me confidence. It could make me feel
Yes.
extra beautiful. It could do all of those things because of the variety of dances, types of African dances there are. There are warrior dances, there's woman dances, there's healing dances, there's courtship dances. So I could just kind of pick from the menu to help kind of pump up whatever energy I need that particular day.
I really love that. Body image is something that I have been working on ever since becoming a mom. When I was like, in my 20s, I felt so young and hot and free. After becoming, pregnant and having my daughter, it was a journey to know my body again and to like rediscover my body in a different way. And dance really did help me to do that. Like I started to dance in 2019, and I would love to just go and talk about just a little bit about my journey and how I feel about dance, because I do absolutely love dance, and I have been dancing since I was a kid. Like all these dances that have came out, you would see me and my cousins. We would be in the streets. We would be dancing. Praise dancing as well, like worshiping and praise dance. I did that as a kid. And so I absolutely love to dance, but I just never got trained in dancing. And so for me, dancing has always, when I started back dancing after I got pregnant, it's always been like a healing tool for me. And it's getting me back to loving my body, like you said, and what it can do and not what it looks like. I really love that. But a part of me, like deep down, wishes that I could be a dancer. Like I could have had a journey of where maybe I did perform, or maybe I did like train in something, in a style of dance. And because I'm an adult now, I just feel like I don't have the balance, or it's just really hard to find that balance between really delving into something and learning a new skill and wanting to do it right. And, like you said, finding that mentor, I think that's important as well. And really like putting your all into that. And also I'm a parent, I'm, an entrepreneur, and I'm doing all these other things. So how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, it's not too late. It's not too. My specialty is teaching good and grown women. Women who have lived, their parents, they're doing multiple things, right? They're living life, but they still want to dance. They're still performers. Like I said, they still are showgirls, right? Right? They want to perform.
Yes.
And I love ushering women to fulfill that dream. As a matter of fact, I have a special program called the African Dance Lab that I created this program. Like I said, I cooked it up in the kitchen just for women like
Yeah.
that who are, they're good and grown. They want to learn African dance. They want to make sure they're learning the authentic African dance. They want to make sure they are learning the authentic songs and have the right music, all that good stuff. But they wanted to do it in a way that's manageable, right? And not intimidating, and in a safe space where they feel welcome and not super conscious, any of that. They just feel
Yes.
warm and welcome and free. And then in my African Dance Lab program, it culminates with a performance. That's that deep down secret that nobody likes to share. And I'm so glad that you said, I'd like to perform. Like, so when I say that that is like the graduation, that's the culmination point, you should see that I said, I get to perform. I get to perform. And it just transforms them because I record their progress, right? When you're in the African Dance Lab, it's a very personalized experience. It's very different from an African dance class. Sure, you learn all of the good things you need to learn, but I'm holding your hand. I'm looking at you and what's your particular zhuzh, right? I believe every dancer has a particular zhuzh that makes the audience be like, oh, I love watching her. Oh, I love watching her. I like watching her for her arms. Oh, for her, it's her legs. For her, it's her. When you discover your zhuzh, boom, 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 you're unstoppable. So
Yeah.
when and we have this recording of their journey, and they could see how they started, how they looked, how they approached the step, and then how they did it at the end. The command of the stage, the command of the space, and those are skills that you take with you everywhere, everywhere. So all of that to say, yes, you can still be a dancer. One, you're already a dancer because you're dancing, done. Yes, you can perform. Yes, you can learn and master this genre. And that is my specialty. And when I say I love to do it, I like, oh, let me get my hands on you. Yes, because we got to keep this tradition going.
Thank you. I love that. I need the encouragement. Sometimes I think that I just need to hear like you can still do it. You know, like it may look different. And it's so funny because I just watched the movie Moana 2, and the theme of the movie was like, you got to find a different way to do something to solve, to solve an issue or to accomplish a goal. And so, yeah, that's all it takes is just, finding a different way, especially if something that I love. And I'm just really glad that I met you as well, because you have these free classes on Thursday. Like you said, that's very manageable. I mean, I don't think it's on Thursdays, but each month you have a free
Yeah, the
class
17th. The
on
17th
the
of this month
17th.
is the way I've been.
They're very manageable. I appreciate that as like
Yes,
someone who's still trying to get into dance.
yeah, and I do that with intention. I like to have multiple entry points for people to get into this ancient art form. That free class I do, emphasis free. I do one free online class a month on the 17th, and I call it my kiss to the community because I want a way that there's no barrier for you to go to African dance class. You don't have to come to a studio. You don't have to pull any money out of your pocket. All you have to do is jump on your phone or your computer and you can meet me at least once a month and get into this good African dance. So I do that as one entry point that has no barrier. Anybody could do that, right? Then I also have my book because some people like to be like, you know what? I want to study something first before I actually do. Everybody's different. Everybody likes to approach things different. So I have some written material. I have a glossary in the back, history of some dances. I have some great pictures of costuming and certain African dance attire, as well as some really interesting African dance stories that I share. So I have that entree point. I have the African Dance Lab for people who's like, I really want to perform. And then for people who are like, you know what? I need to have 24/7 access at my fingertips because my schedule is so crazy. I have what I call like a do it yourself self study online course, also called KUCHEZA, where because it's an online course that you purchase and you can play 3 a.m., 3 p.m., you can rewind me, you can fast forward me. That's another way to get into it. So, any way that works for you, I have something for what I call my dance sisters.
I love that. I would love for you to talk more about how has your understanding of African dance changed throughout your journey? Because I know when I first took a African dance class, I was like, why does my feet feel so weird? Like it's just movement, like I don't understand what's going on. And it took me a couple of classes to really get in and try to understand the steps and be more comfortable. So can you just tell us like how has your understanding of African dance changed through your journey?
Wow. Yes, it is so funny. And that's why I always share that my first class was a hot mess. I was in there looking a wreck. And as a matter of fact, one of my primary drummers that I still perform with, who still plays for me, he delights in telling my students how bad I was at the beginning. Any chance he gets, he said, "Oh yeah, I know you're all impressed now, but I was there when So, but that's part of the journey. That is part of the journey. So I share that willingly. Like, listen, you just keep going. Like any skill we acquire, we just keep doing it and we get better and better. In terms of my understanding of this art form, boy, my appreciation of it has deepened. Because when I first started, like you, I was just taking classes, trying to get the steps. That was a win. If I could just get this step, that's it. But then
Right.
as I deepened my study, I learned the history of each dance, the people who did it, under what context they did it, that they were dances just for women. There were dances that were done when there was a full moon. There were dances when there was a harvest. There's dances for naming ceremonies. There's even dances that are done when people transit. I'm like, wow. So I really understood how dance was interwoven into every aspect. Whether you're farming, celebrating the birth of a new one, courtship, even for courtship, there were specific dances for courtship. I was like, the deepness of these steps and how it was interwoven into everything. So I really appreciated that. And then the power of the movements, the undulations, the contractions. If you look throughout the diaspora, everywhere where there are African people, even if their dance steps are a little different, one continuum you'll see is that contraction. Everybody's doing a contraction. So these are the kind of historical notes that you start to pick up. Um, the personal use, how you can use it to enhance your life. Again, I got to go back to African dances tool of empowerment, right? Use this tool when your day is getting a little rough and rugged. I need to pull out my warrior dance and get myself all the way together because I need to challenge some things today. I got to get my warrior energy up. So I'll pull that out of my African dance bag and do those steps and boom. So yeah, so I use it in a very holistic way now. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I know that you talked about like how different dances mean different things. Can you
Mm-hmm.
specifically talk about? I mean, it doesn't matter how many dances.
Uh-huh.
Maybe one or two that a specific theme or story to that dance.
Well, the first dance that's coming to my mind, I'll, just going back to that warrior energy, there's a dance called Durumba. It's a warrior dance that was traditionally just done by the men, but as years evolved, the women do it too. And I see how the women respond when I teach them the steps because there's something about the way you do your body and the power and how big you make yourself. Because, sometimes women are taught to not be seen, not to take up too much space, to be, you know. So in that dance, you are big and expansive, and just the way it transforms people pretty quickly. In terms of storytelling, there's a dance called LAMBA. That's known as the dance of the kings or the dance of the griots. And in Africa, the griots or the storytellers used to travel with the king and keep the history. Oh, this great king, he did this, he conquered that, he brought this to the village. And in this dance, that we wear a very specific outfit of buba. We talk about the griots and uh, the steps of reverence to the king. So when we perform Lamba, there's a whole little storytelling aspect to it as well. So when you're learning African dance, you're learning so many things. You're learning the music, you're learning the steps, you're learning the history, you're learning storytelling, ancient steps. Yeah.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. How important do you think it is to have a mentor to get into West African dance? Do you think that it's possible to be able to learn completely virtual? Like you said, you have an online course. Like, do
Mm-hmm.
you think that you do? Like, you think it's completely possible, or do you feel like you need that in person connection?
Well, it doesn't have to be in person. In person is great because in person allows you to have the live drumming aspect, and I can physically touch and be like, okay, straighten up here, bend more here. But also, you can also have a very effective, powerful experience online with a coach, with somebody mentoring you. Mentoring is super important. Why? Because your mentor will push you to do things you cannot do, right? If it's just left up to yourself, let's even talk about jumping jacks. If your task was, I have to do some jumping jacks every day, you might stop at 5 because 5 is nice and comfy. You could do that with ease, but your mentor says 5 today, 8 tomorrow, 8 today, 13 tomorrow. You're like, ah. But any good teacher makes you grimace. Any good teacher makes you be like, ah. But that's how you grow. And then your teacher, your mentor, and again, I always cite my primary African dance teacher, Yewande Kelly Johnson. They, because of their experience, can teach you the art of performing, the art of storytelling, the history, the relevance, the protocol. That's the other thing I love about African dance. There's a protocol in interacting with the drummers and your dance sisters, and even the way we begin a class or end a class. So all of these Africanisms that are part of our history, that we may not practice every day, it's a very defined and deliberate time to kind of infuse that back into our lives. So yes, a mentor is great, 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 and I highly recommend it. But if you have to start with a book, start with a book. If you have to start with an online class, start with an online self-study class. Come to my free class. But whatever you do, the takeaway message is start. Start dancing, start connecting, start moving.
What role do drums play, like in West African dance?
Uh, it's everything. I always say African dance and African drums go hand in hand because part of your education as an African dancer is learning the rhythm, learning the rhythm. Fun fact, most other art forms, when you see a ballet performance or a jazz performance and you see them doing their choreography, when they go on that stage, they know we're going to do 4 of these, we're going to do 5 of these, we're going to do 6 of these. African dance is not like that. Every time we enter the stage, we don't know how many times we're going to do any step because the drummer playing the break, the musical cue, lets us know how many times we will do a step, whether we'll begin a step, start a step. So every time is a very live and organic situation. And the drummer is gauging that based on audience response. Like maybe we're doing a step and the audience is like, oh. So he'll have us live in that step, sometimes longer than we might want to. Be like, oh my God. Ah. But but there's this orchestration that's happening where the drummer's watching us, he's watching the audience. While we're executing our steps, we have to stay tuned into the music to hear our cue. So it's a very live and fun and organic, and everybody plays a role, the audience, the drummer, and the dancer.
So when you speak about the audience, what do you feel like you want your audience to get, or even people who come to your class, or even if you're performing, what do you want them to get from your performance or learning about West African dance?
Well, I'll tell you, the most consistent feedback I get is that people say, "Ooh, when you're performing, I see your joy. I see your joy." And then it makes me happy. And you know what that's like when you see anybody perform anything that they're into, even if it's not something that you're into, you like, okay, I see you because they so about you, like, okay, right? So people can see that I love and I'm giving my all to the audience when I'm performing. So I want them to take that away. Also, because I'm an educator by trade, I also want them to learn something. So I'm always, and from you being in my classes, I'm always teaching. I'm always giving some historical note. I'm always giving something because I want them to walk away with some new bit of knowledge. And then last but certainly not least, I want them to be leaning in and curious to the point where they're like, you know what? Let me try a little class. Let me see what this is about. I want them to be opened up to that as a possibility. So yeah, that's my wish.
So people who may like have a misconception or might be a little bit afraid to try something new or get into West African dance, what advice would you have for them?
I would tell them the beauty of African dance is that you can get in where you fit in. You don't have to do every step in its fullest expression. You don't if it's a step that has a leap in it, you don't have to leap. You could do what I call a hint of a leap, right? You don't have to do the biggest, deepest bow or crunch or whatever. You could just do a hint of it. And if you don't believe me, if you look at videos in the village with people dances. People are dancing of all ages, even very mature elders in the village, and they will just do a little hint and just not even be moving much, but they're so powerful and they just draw you in because of their inner. That zhuzh I talk about. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not always about, okay, I got to jump high, I got to get low, I got to do the hardest contractions. Nope, you could just do a little hint of it and just bring your zhuzh to it, and you'll still be honoring the tradition. You'll still be getting that healing, and you'll still be participating. So everybody can get in where they fit in. There's a place for you.
Oh, I would love for you, before we wrap it up, to talk more about your services. What services do you provide as an educator to the community?
Sure. Well, I'm going to take it from the little ones. From the little ones, I often go into schools, and sometimes not only will they hire me to do a performance, sometimes they'll also hire me to do a workshop with the children so they can actively learn some of the steps that they witnessed in their assembly. And then for a more immersive experience, there are schools that hire me to do a dance residency where I will be at their location for 4 to 6 weeks, working with their students, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a week, teaching them the drum and the dance, and then it culminates with a performance. So then the whole school gets to see what they did, their parents get to see what they did, and of course I costume them and stage them. Like we do it. So I love doing that. So I'm available for that. And cultural events are always busy for me. Like right now, Kwanzaa season is coming up. People having me come for Kwanzaa events, do African dance, African History Month, Juneteenth. Even weddings. I love doing weddings. We love doing weddings. And then we'll perform like the courtship dances. And of course, like I shared with you earlier, my premier African dance mentoring program, the African Dance Lab. Come into my lab. I have something cooked up just for you. The African Dance Lab. That's an immersion into African dance where you will really learn and begin to master African dance and perform. And perform. My online course, KUCHEZA. It's a complement to this book. KUCHEZA is a Swahili word that means play, dance, flirt. And that's the energy I encourage people to take African dance with. Don't come in thinking like, oh my God, this is beyond me. I can't do it, and making it more serious than it has to be. Come in with a play, dance, flirt kind of energy. And
Yes.
I teach you the basics, the beauty, and the power of African dance. KUCHEZA, The Basics, Beauty, and Power of African Dance. So that's my book. It's available on Amazon, and my online course that accompanies it is also available. And I'll make sure you have all that information to share with your folks. And when you go to my website, Get Your Goddess. Get Your Goddess. All women are goddesses. So my organization is called Get Your Goddess. GetYourGoddess.com. Go to my website, and you know that free class that she's talking about? You could sign up there to get on my email list. And every month on the 17th is my free online African
Really?
dance class. And some people will try it and they might not even dance the first time. Sometimes they're just on and just looking, just trying to see how this is going to go. And then the next time they actually dance. So come on, take a peek. I'm a lot of fun, and you will learn a lot and have a good time. So getyourgoddess.com. Getyourgoddess.com. If you can't even remember that, teachmeafricandance.com. All right. Either way, you'll get to me and start your African dance journey. You'll be so glad you did.
I love that. I actually want to talk about the dancer, like the difference between being a dancer and an educator, and like your
Mm,
journey of how you became, like you went from being a dancer and but you're also an educator now. And I kind of want to like talk about that journey just because I am taking your class this Sunday. Because I really do want to learn how to. Yes, I'm so excited too because I really do want to learn how to put something together for children. I'm an educator. I love working with children. I'm a homeschooling mom. You know, I be out here in these streets working with kids. You know, creating programs specifically in like gardening. But like, I really want to do dancing and movement with kids as well, and it's something that I've been wanting to do. And so I'm glad that you have this opportunity because it's like yes, but I've never taught children how to dance before. Like I've only,
yes.
taught math or science or gardening, but I haven't taught movement. Now I may have like led a movement type of thing where I'm like, everybody, let's move our bodies, clap our hands, but never have I like taught steps, specific steps. And so in my brain, I'm kind of like a little nerve wracking about it because I'm like, I hope I can really give this off, and like really teach this while I'm still trying to learn how to be a dancer myself, but also
Uh-huh.
trying to educate. So sometimes I just like for me, I just question myself sometimes. I know I gotta stop doing that. But I would love for you to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yes. Well, first of all, I know you're going to do a great job. You're going to do a great job because one, you're great. Let's start there.
Thank
And two, I'm going to equip you to make sure that you have all the tools to do the task. Because yes, being an artist and being a teaching artist are two different things. And I pride myself on the fact that I'm a teaching artist. So I don't just perform and do the steps, and that's fine, right? Because there are performers who are phenomenal who aren't necessarily teaching artists, right? They can execute their craft wonderfully. They can't necessarily transmit it to other people effectively in a way that people don't feel overwhelmed. So
you. Yes.
you're already naturally an educator. So you already have that, under your belt. And then I will show you how to break it down for kids, for adults. So anybody can take the choreography that I'm going to teach you and all the other goodies I'm going to teach you and fly and move forward. Because, and I'm so glad you mentioned this program, because I'm doing this specialty program for dance teachers, regular teachers, youth leaders, liturgical leaders, people who are usually tasked with kind of being the cultural coordinators in their community. Hey, Kwanzaa's coming up. I want you to do something with the kids. Make something happen. African History Month's coming up. You make something happen. And people would love to infuse African dance, but they just don't know where to begin. So, as you know, I'm having that African Dance VIP day for my educators and leaders to show them, okay, this is how you get the job done. I know you have a limited amount of time. This is something you teach every day. So I need to be strategic in the way I teach you so you can teach it, get your job done in time for the Kwanzaa and the Black History Month. And then I'm not going to just leave you with a choreography, because then I know you need to know how to stage this. Okay, I teach them the steps. How do I make this work? How do I stage it? What do they wear? How do I dress the stage? Because I want you to have a presentation. Okay, I don't want you to just do some steps. You need to have a whole situation. So I'm going to make sure you know how to do that effectively, and you are going to be phenomenal at it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That kind of like helps me a little bit try to understand like how I can, like you said, be an educator, like an art. That is so. It is different. Being an
It is
artist and
different.
being a teaching
Teaching artist.
artist is totally different. And
Totally
so for
different.
me, and you know, with kids, trying to make it clear, and especially for
Yes.
kids who may not even know, you know, kids nowadays, they know the TikTok dances,
Right.
and you know, they know all those, but like taking it back and being like, this is a traditional dance, like those are things that I'm, you know, thinking about when it comes to the youth that I'll be working with. Like, will they, you know, connect with it and understand? And I know we'll have more deeper conversations about that, but
Sure.
those are important conversations to have when you're trying to teach art instead of just being an artist.
Right. And then I'm also going to share with you some strategies for, there always may be a group or one or two that maybe they can't execute the steps, but there are other dynamic things that they can do to contribute to the presentation. So I'm going to give you multiple strategies so no one's left behind. I believe very strongly in the no one left behind approach. So maybe if
Yes.
you're not the dancer in this group, maybe you could do the song part, or maybe you could do some of the prop work. Maybe you could do, like, there's a number of ways to play with it, and we'll delve into that deep in my VIP day for educators. So I got you. You're gonna be good at it and good.
Thank you. I love that, you all. This was Audrey Davis Dunning with Get Your Goddess West African Dancing. I just love her energy. Like, I had to have you on here because I feel like your energy is so amazing. Like I said, I come to your classes and I'm just like, yes, like I want you to be my mentor. I haven't felt like that. And I've been to a couple of I've been to classes, but I haven't felt like I enjoy the classes and I'm like, yeah, I'll come back. But I've never felt like I want this person to be my teacher, or like I want this person, you know? So
That's
I
an
really
honor.
appreciate your
Thank you.
energy because it's important that you make people feel warm. And that's what
I
you do,
should.
okay?
Oh, thank
You
you.
really,
I
really
so
do.
appreciate that.
No problem. So don't forget to like and subscribe, you all. This was Daily Conversations. I will see you on the next one. Peace.